Thanks, Marcia. It's Metro Morning on CBC Radio 1 and CBC Television. My name's Matt Galloway. Good morning. It is 6:13 on Metro Morning. Last week, the City of Toronto announced plans to start enforcing its off-leash dog bylaw. If you're out walking your dog in an area that is not an off-leash area, not a dog park, you're just walking through the neighborhood, you're in a park that is not fenced off, and specifically an off-leash area, well, you could face a fine of some $360. That's for the first offense. Second time around, you could end up in court. My next guest says he has to follow the bylaw, but he doesn't have to like it. Alex Hess is a dog owner. He lives in Parkdale, is with me in studio now. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thanks. What do you make of the city's plans to enforce this off-leash dog bylaw?
It may seem harsh, but I feel like actually doing this is amount to ticketing dog owners for owning a dog. I think it's punishing them for owning a dog.
Well, no, it's not. It's punishing them for letting their dog
I realize I'm being a little harsh. However, if I may elucidate, basically there's 1,600 parks in this city, but only 57 off-leash areas. I feel that there's just not enough places where you can let your dog roam around. And some dogs, they need that. They can't simply be left in your backyard or your apartment or simply be let on a leash sometimes.
So take them to an off-leash area.
Well, there are many, but there's not enough. This is my issue. And what I'm getting at is I think there needs to be a little bit more of a situation that allows not so black and white. For example, in New York City, Central Park, before 9 a.m. and after 9 p.m., the whole park is off-leash friendly. Like all before 9, after 9. And in the winter in Toronto, the city parks that we have, they are deserted. Nobody is using them. They are frozen wastelands. So to me, I don't think it's a bad thing if the dogs are allowed to run around a little bit there.
The city says, we spoke with the head of bylaw enforcement on Friday, and he says that the city has received over 1,000 complaints on this issue, that in his roster of things that he has to follow up on, this is one of the most pointed issues. It's one of the issues that gets people worked up, but it's also one of the things that he says people are responding to. So shouldn't the city respond to those complaints?
I mean, the bylaw does exist, and it is a law, and we really should follow it. We don't have to like it, as you said, and I think that the problem is there's often no option for dog owners. Personally, I have a dog that needs exercise. The nearest off-leash park is a half-hour walk each way from where I live. And, I mean, in the morning before work, I just don't have the time to take an hour and a half out of my day to let him run around. So, I mean, this is a city with 250,000 dogs, give or take. That is a lot. That's way more than is licensed also. So
it was interesting. We heard from a lot of people on Friday about this. A lot of dog owners who said they were upset by the city cracking down on this. A lot of people who said, well, the rules are the rules. I don't like dogs. I happen to be in a park. I don't want dogs around me. Crack down on this and make sure that people put their dog on the leash. Do you have sympathy for the people who are on the other side of
Sure.
this?
I mean, I understand not everyone likes dogs. And I mean, me personally, if on the occasions where I do allow my dog, example, Toronto Island, there's no off-leash dog parks there. It is a giant place. You can easily find a corner of the island where nobody is around and you're not going to bother anyone if your dog wants to play a little bit of fetch. But by the current letter of the bylaw, that is against the rules, and you could face a fine. And this is what I'm saying. I think there should be some leniency, some understanding of this individual situations.
Why do you think, as a city, we should be more accommodating to dog owners?
Well, I mean, for people who aren't able to have children or maybe with a family, dogs are an excellent addition to your life. Some people, it's a companionship or even a mental health thing. Dogs are more than just an object that you have, and we have so much catering towards children in the city, whether it's schools and splash
because
pads.
They're people.
They are people, and I realize dogs aren't people, and I'm not trying to say they are people, but for some people, dogs are like their children, and I think it's fair to give them more than just what you would give property, and 57 off-leash areas is great, but I think that there needs to be a little bit more options for dog owners.
You mentioned New York City. What are some of the other ways that the city you think could better be more accommodating to dog owners?
Well, I think if before 9 or after 9 or whatever times work, if the park is empty, especially like I said, the winter, what's the harm? The dogs aren't damaging anyone or hurting anyone. I mean, most dogs that I meet are very friendly. Right. So I don't think that having just we used to have some areas in the city that were shared use, and they've slowly been getting rid of those. And I think that we should go back to looking at that.
Will you follow the bylaw? You don't like it, but will you follow it?
Well,
I don't want to get you in trouble here.
I will try to follow it. It's unfortunately I don't want to get a fine, and it's important to set an example.
All right, Alex, thank you.
Thank you.
Alex Hess is a dog owner, lives in Parkdale. His thoughts on the city's plan to start enforcing its off-leash dog bylaw. And in some ways, he says that the city perhaps could be more friendly to dog owners. Your thoughts welcome. We had a rather lively, I think it's fair to say, a discussion about this on Twitter last week. You can join in on @MetroMorning or 416-205-5807. It's 18 minutes after 6. Coming up in just a moment, live music in studio from Sean Jones. First, a look at your commute. Here's Lori.
Well, the commute is actually all right now. Just keep in mind, you're probably going to hit some ponding in some of the low-lying areas, and there is some fog in places. So just be careful getting around. Give yourself a little bit of extra time this morning to get where you're going.